Gary, you've been in the job 10 days now. Is it any?
Really?
Yeah. Is it any different to sort of actually how you thought it would be?
No, it's no different. Obviously, when you come to a team that's not won in a couple of games and bottom of the league, then you know that you're going to have to put in a little bit of your personality, your character, your relentlessness, and you also know that some of the lads will cope with that well, and some won't cope with it, and some won't at the start and then come round. So that's good. But no, it's exactly how I expected, and I know we've had a couple of defeats, but the actual spirit and the willingness to put into practice what I'm giving them has been good. I've been really pleased with that side of it, and as a whole group of staff and a playing management staff and a playing staff, we've all agreed the way to go, and now it's up to everybody to up their standards.
And you demanded positivity right from the start, and you've repeated that as well. Does that actually allow you to spend, if you like, more time on the coaching side of it rather than having to build them up mentally?
No, there's a lot of building up mentally. You know, it's easy for somebody to say, yeah, I'm in it with you in a classroom, but they've got to show that, and they've got to be fit enough to show that on the training ground and in games. That's where they really show me, because you still get a teacher's pet that comes in with an apple before morning's training, and then don't train very well. Well, for me, it's about their training and not about giving me apples. And some will, obviously it's not an apple, sometimes it's a little word here and there and that, but they prove themselves out there on the training ground, on the football pitch, and that's why we do all the stats on games. They know exactly how I feel about every one of them individually, whether they've affected the game, whether they haven't affected the game, whether they've done enough, whether they look fit, whether they don't look fit. The one thing they're all getting right now is honesty, and most of them are handling that.
You can ask, how are they reacting to that? Because obviously you said after Monday a few home truths have been told.
Yeah, and they have, and obviously the initial reaction in their minds, because they won't react straight away, is they would be disappointed that the manager feels that they haven't done very well. But then we prove it to them with the little tests we do with them. We show them the DVDs, we show them the review of the game. I show them my comments on the game, and I make them say what they felt happened, what went well, what didn't go so well. And in the end, everybody agrees that this is how it went. So long as I'm honest and they're honest, and I'm telling them that no individual will get ridiculed publicly, but expect to be picked out if you're not doing enough in private. And then they can say, yeah, I think I do agree with you, Gaffer, and I'll put it right.
And how much do they need to work smarter as well as harder?
Well, smarter, the smartest players are in the Premiership. The next smartest players are in the Championship. And then the First Division, and then the Second Division. And then there's the top of the Second Division, and there's the bottom of the Second Division. So, of course, the smarter players, most of them are above us. However, it doesn't stop. There are smart players here. Whether we got enough smart players, clever players, players that can play combinations, players that are ahead of the game, players that can support the receiver, so that we're already on the move when that ball comes in, rather than just looking to get a touch on the ball. I'm hoping there's enough smart players that if I put it together and we get a little bit of organisation in our play, that we could be a threat. I think we've been a threat in the last couple of games, without taking our chances and without putting our shooting boots on, as in the confidence of that is mentality as well. So that's what we've got to try and build up.
And people talk about luck. I suppose you make your own luck, really, don't you?
You do. That's why the percentages become very important, because you have to make sure that you put in enough goal shots, crosses, enough set plays, so that if you're not prolific, then you've got to make sure that you get a lot of numbers of those types of situations so that you give yourself every chance to win the game. And I think we've done that with the 20 shots, and I think we had 7, 8, 9 corners, and we've been. I think both games we've been in. Do you know what I mean? You know, hopefully you believe that as well. You've seen it. I think both games we've been in, and it should be said actually that our supporters recognise that as well, because I noticed from their support that they were seeing some good things that they were enjoying. Of course, nobody enjoys a defeat, but we've got 5 games. We are growing into it, and we have been unlucky. We have given ourselves a bit of a chance.
Wycombe obviously flying high, but they've lost their last 2. Is there a chance there that you'll catch them on a nervy day?
Hope so. There's every chance at this level that you catch another team on a nervy day, but they're consistent enough to be in the promotion places. They've got a very good work rate. I know Gareth Ainsworth well. I was his assistant manager and manager at Cambridge when he was a player, and he was probably the bravest right winger I'd ever worked with, and he really was. And he was a lot better player than he is pop star. You don't like me saying that, but he was a good player, and he gave everything. And so I'm sure he's passed that on. Well, he has passed that on to his team. So there's a real big work rate, and you're going to have to match that, and then play the game, because we're hoping that there's not a great deal of difference, other than little bits and pieces in the game.
Will Packwood obviously went off with his hamstring. What's the prognosis been?
Well, he was showing his competitive qualities. He was gutted, absolutely gutted, and he's been ringing a physio every day saying, I think he's going to be three weeks. Will says he'll be back in 2, so don't forget him. And he's genuinely gutted, but he genuinely wants to get back quick to come back and try and help, even if it's the last game, the last 2 games, whatever it is. And he's a good lad, and he's one of those that you've got to keep an eye on for the future if the club sort of needs to bring a competitive spirit like he is back into the club.
And I suppose looking to replace him, you've got options. Jack obviously came on Monday, and Pablo to come back into the mix, and Matt Taylor as well. So plenty of options for you. Yeah,
there's 3 centre halves there, and we're putting on a session today and tomorrow where I'll see exactly where those lads are in their fitness, in their mental states. We had a big run yesterday, and that showed some that were still a little bit behind in their endurance fitness. So I now know that, and I'll pick Troy sort of picks himself at the moment for the simple reason he's been one of our consistent players since I've been here over the last 2 games. So it's anyone from 3 after that.
And Manny obviously took a bit of a knock. How's he?
Yeah, he's fine. He didn't take a knock. It was cramp, and we've talked about that as well, because that's a fitness level. You don't want players that all of a sudden have done well for 70 minutes and then 80 minutes and then have to come off when you need them most. So we need to up his regime a little bit. But I thought mentally he works hard, physically he works hard, and he was a threat on the day. People tell me it was one of his better games for the club. He's got ability, and hopefully we can get him a goal before the end of the season.
Everyone else okay?
Yeah, everyone's okay. A couple didn't train, but that was yesterday. That was just precaution, or because we had a big run, so maybe they stepped out because of that. Hope not, because they won't lose out. They'll catch up, and I think we're all back in training today, so it's no problem. They just have one day off of their slight knocks.
Thank you, good luck.
No problem.
Gary, the forward area of the team, there's some promising signs of the link-up between Wes, Manny and Shaq McDonald in the last 2 games.
Because there is. And, Danny Ainge came on, and I had a bit of a go at him and saying and Shaq for blasting over the bar and that. But then he had a couple of shots. One that just hit the lad's heel, which was on its way, and another one hit a defender straight in the face, and that was going in as well. Shaq scored a goal because the offside goal was not offside, not in a million years. We've got the wide angle footage, so that was a goal. So he scored his goal. We had some wayward shooting over the top, but we got into the areas that we wanted to get into. We're getting set plays, we're getting corners. Listen, the quality of the lads you can't do much about. All you can do is keep getting them in those dangerous areas, and that's what we've been doing. And that's what, as you say, you've seen that our forwards are getting into those dangerous areas.
How important is a first goal in the game then? Just to get that bit of confidence running through people?
Yeah, I think it's very, very important. Now, I think Russell was telling me you had a few games just before I came where you was in the lead and then lost the lead. Now that's going to happen. The first goal's not important, but at the moment I'm hoping that we've just upped everything and the training's a little bit sharper, it's a different voice, and I'm a bit relentless when it comes to training and training at match pace. So hopefully that little teeny bit more fitness will take them a little bit longer into the game. So therefore the first goal's more important because hopefully we can last longer before we give a goal away.
What was the view of the players on Tuesday morning when they came back in and sort of got to terms with what had happened on Monday, not just with the Cheltenham result but with the other results and that sort of missed opportunity?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be honest with everybody, yourselves and your 3 listeners that you got. But the first day, I thought, for my first game and the first reaction, I was happy with. I wasn't happy with the result, of course, but I was happy with what I saw, people trying to do what we was doing. Against the game we just had against Stevenage, I was a little bit disappointed with. That's why I got into a few, and I've been here long enough at that point to be able to get into them because I knew their characters. I watched them in the gym, I watched them in the dining hall, I watched them in the car park, I watched them on the training ground. So I can say, well, actually, this is happening to you because of this. This is happening to you because of this, etc., etc. So I did get into them a little bit, but I'm really pleased they recover very quickly. I described it a little bit as they're all my sons. It all started when my son played with me, and they used to say, "How do you handle playing? Working with your son?" I used to say, "I treat them all like my sons," and that was the way out of that one. And that's what I've done through my career, and I described it as if I ever go at you, it's a little bit like your little boy runs out in the middle of the road or just about to, and you grab him and you give him a little slap. You like to say that nowadays, but anyway, you give him a little slap. One of them say, "You mustn't run out in you still love him, but you give him that little slap just to remind him that's And then you've got to remember that as a dad and as a coach, you've also got to teach him the highway code first, and then once you've done that, then you can maybe give him a little clip a little bit harder if he does it again. At least you've taught him. So it's very similar to the players. And the players' reactions, I think they know that I'm on their side. And I'm actually trying to help their careers and build not only our reputation as a group, but their own personal reputations. And that's what I think they've started realising, that if they don't put the contributions into their games, they're not going to get, like a pension, they're not going to get that pot of gold at the end of it. So I'm hoping to have just given them a little nudge to say that you could be earning a lot more money at some big clubs if you put in that effort and that energy.
In terms of the immediacy, a couple you said after the game Monday might sort of not be in the next game because they hadn't been doing it. Is it a case of now that kind of management to give them the second chance to sort of repay that faith?
That's exactly what it is. You've got to see a reaction in training. A couple of them did take a bit of stick, and maybe it was the first time professional stick, let's say. You know what I mean? I've not gone in and thrown cups and kicked boots at people's faces and things like that. Who done that? And I've got and you have to see the reaction in the next training session. If they spat their dummy out, then you'll see that you've lost them and they've lost you. That's it, lovely, no problem. We've got 20, 30 odd players training at the minute, so I can just brush them aside. But there hasn't been one of them, and every single one of them has wanted to show me that they have got what I said they might not have after the game, and that's what I'm pleased about. And we've also got competition at the minute. You know, they all want to play, so that's the difficult part for a manager, because you know they all want to play, and that's a healthy thing as well. That you haven't got too many here that are just happy to be on the sidelines. They actually want to play. Finally,
have you given any more thought to life after these next 5 games, or is it just a case of getting to the end of the season?
There's no life after these 5 games. And you certainly can't plan ahead. Not me, not the lads. You know, I don't know who's in contract, who's out of contract, who's not. I'm near enough know loans, but that doesn't matter at the moment. What matters is we put all our energy, and I promised the board, I promised the players at the start, I promised you that, you know, I would do everything I can to keep the club in the division, albeit, you know, with the 7 games. And you can't go gun-ho, you've got to be organised, you've got to create your opportunities from an organised position. We call it a position of strength, and that's what we've got to do. And then, you mentioned it before, you might have to have that little bit of luck where the ball don't hit the post, or the linesman gives you the benefit of the doubt on a goal, not an offside goal. All those sort of things that the linesman sees. Stephen is beating up your players in the penalty area, ripping shirts, blood, claret all over the place. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you need. You need as well. But I'll be relentless for these next 5 games, and let's see where we are. And then after that, we'll have another chat with everybody and see where we are.
Excellent.